let's just wait for PM for a bit.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, you ready?
I'm just eating something.
What the hell? Dude, wait, so can we start or not?
Yeah.
We're gonna start and you're eating?
No, I'm just gonna finish it while we're just go.
Okay. Okay, cool. We're already at episode 3.
Yes, we are. Let me
Insider,
bring
kick us off.
that up. Yes. Hold on.
Really?
Hold on.
Really? That was supposed to be seamless.
Yes. Don't worry, I'll start us off.
No, I'm not. I don't doubt that. Hey, you changed up the background. It's no longer the weird purple Kepler thing.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. So y'all see it now?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, hello to everyone turned in. You are listening to Offbeat Koreans. We're a couple of Korean guys who love talking about K-pop. My name is Insider. I am your host. And I am joined with BM and Dubious, who will be sharing their takes on the topic today. So this is our third podcast. Our last 2 episodes were about Mnet's latest survival show, Girls Planet, and its debuting group Kepler. So if you're interested in that, please check it out on our YouTube channel. And this week is a topic we've been waiting to talk about. Over private chat, the 3 of us discussed some of our favorite girl groups in the industry. And they all happen to be part of what's called the 4th generation. To kind of give like a context, there have been generations of K-pop. It kind of depends on the certain music style, the idol culture, and the fan base. I think a lot of us are kind of familiar with the 3rd generation. This is when like Red Velvet Twice came out. This is when like YouTube and social media really made K-pop global. And we're now in what's called the 4th gen. Any group that debuts in this time period are already stepping into a global phenomenon. And I kind of narrowed down what I consider to be the top 3 representative girl groups of this generation, which are Itzy, aespa, and StayC. So the first question I kind of wanted to ask you guys is, do you guys agree that these 3 are the top? Is there any that are missing? So BM, I'll start off with you since you have followed a lot of other girl groups. Kind of wanted to ask.
I'm wondering where you guys think Izone fits in here.
Oh, I want to get to this.
Go ahead.
Well, so I had a question about Izone as well, and I was gonna ask you, BM, because an insider as well. But so if we're to consider 4th gen being from 2018 to foreseeable future, Izone disbanded earlier this year. For those that don't know, they debuted. Here I have it in October of 2018, and they disbanded in April of this year, I believe. So then my question is, like, if let's say at the end of 4th gen, like, could they still be considered like one of the top girl groups? Like, could this potentially be Itzy, aespa, and Izone, and not StayC? Like that was my kind of thought process around Izone. I still think they are part of the 4th generation. If I could break it down a little bit, I think they would be 3.5. But for the sake of the conversation, I think they do fit in 4.
I think you meant aespa, StayC, and Izone.
What did I say?
Itzy, aespa.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I think what I said kind of remains, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I consider, well, if there isn't going to be like a 3.5 or 3.5 generation, then I think Izone belongs in 4th gen more than 3rd.
Yeah. So you do think they would also be a representative girl group in this case?
I think they have to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, to kind of go on to that, I was really considering putting Izone. I guess the disbandment was a big topic or a big factor as to why I didn't put them there, just because they were in fact a temporary girl group. And I did kind of consider like the future, like, we still have several years left in this generation. And so we do kind of have to consider that, those like yearly factors. There was other groups that I considered as well. Luna and Everglow, they have huge international popularity, but in Korea, they're still relatively unknown. Luna's been growing, but they still haven't been able to like reach a certain mark of like popularity. And G-Idol, they were one group that I was going to add as well, but unfortunately, they've had a lot of controversies and inactivity for now. So that's why I didn't include them here. I'm just currently highlighting the 3 groups that have done well so far up to the date of this discussion. And so that's why the 3 girl groups who we will be talking about include Itzy, aespa, and StayC. So I think to kind of help us with conversation, it kind of helps to show the timeline of these girl groups. Itzy debuted back in February of 2019. And for 2 years, they did really well along with IZ*ONE and G-Idol. And then just last year, just about a year ago, aespa and StayC joined them. And this past summer, actually, all 3 groups had summer comebacks that really did skyrocket them even more. And then about a month ago, all 3 had another round of comebacks. And I kind of want to ask you guys, actually, when did you guys become a fan of these groups? And like, who kind of got your initial, who was like your initial bias at that time?
I can let Dubious go ahead on this one.
I don't want to go back a little bit. Yeah, I think the conversation that we're having is perfectly fine to compare these 3 girl groups, because they seem to be kind of what's in what people are interested in right now. But like, can I show you my taxes a little bit? I want to show you my taxes.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then I kind of want to have this conversation because, like,
What?
okay, so I accumulated like the album sales from GAO, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Gone? Okay, Gaon?
Colin, I think. Yeah.
Colin.
And then just I compare like just the data that like we have, like where it's like, okay, how many Instagram followers do they have, how many like YouTube subs they have versus like how many YouTube views they have. And like, I don't want to go too into the numbers or anything, but like what I was really surprised to find is that like groups that I really didn't think were in my radar are actually doing really well. Like Luna actually, like by the numbers, do actually really well. Like in terms of like album sales, and even like their kind of like media presence. It's the same thing with G-Idol. Like they have like really strong like media presence on YouTube and Instagram, where I'm just like,
yes, they do.
So like, why are we? I guess like I don't know. I feel like I like StayC, but I feel like it's just too early to kind of put them in the same realm as like if we're talking like aespa and Itzy, right? Then like, why is the 3rd group not G-Idol? Why is the 3rd group not Luna? Like, why is it StayC?
You hate StayC.
No, I'm asking questions here. I'm asking legitimate, because look at the numbers.
Right,
You're asking
I don't
hater questions.
look. Okay, where StayC are high is like if we're looking at like just like on average, like the album of or the average of albums they've sold from like the amount of time that they've been around. They're like 4th highest, which is really good, right? But everywhere else, like whether it's Instagram, YouTube, like YouTube views, it's not anything crazy. So like, why are we not talking about Luna? Why are we not talking about G-Idol?
You want me to go first, BM? I could try something.
Like, insight. Like, why do you think that's the case, or BM?
So I'm a huge fan of Luna. For those people that are new, and I've been following them for at least a year, and I will have to admit that Luna, yes, they do have a relative popularity in Korea, and I think it definitely shows in some of their album sales. But unfortunately, it's kind of their management that has done a poor job of promoting them in Korea, and I do have to consider the perception in Korea as well. And when I say like Korea's kind of like perception, I mean like how active they are in like the media and like variety shows and things like that. And they've already been in the business for over 3 years, and I feel like they haven't been able to pop off on a certain like standard that I've been expecting. Same with G Idol, except that they've had a lot more popularity. But they were one that I thought was kind of like cut in the middle, and they've kind of had like a big fall after that. But for StayC, I know it's only been 1 year, and they've been able to do tremendously well. They've had a song that pretty much went viral, and I do think that they somewhat fit into a definition of like a very like popular like girl pop kind of K-pop girl group. And I do think they do have like a relatively good future ahead of them, which is why I include them in this conversation. And especially because their producer's like a very good one, and he's produced so many popular songs as well. So that was my take. I don't know, BM, do you have something?
He's just molding right now.
No,
He's
I'm
actually
just
probably on the way
no,
to my
no,
house to kill me.
no. I was just recovering from the attempt at slandering StayC.
No, how dare you? I'm not slandering anyone.
Oh,
I'm not slandering.
sorry.
Look at the numbers and tell me why we're having a conversation about aespa, Itzy, and StayC, and not Luna.
It's fine. I recovered. It's fine. Um, so I think for me, the case with StayC is just since their debut, every comeback they've just like seen like a tremendous growth in like album sales and like popularity. They just keep getting better and better and more like popular. Like, and it's not really a surprise that they were like a rookie of the year contenders. And if it wasn't for aespa, who's who had like a lot of popularity like pre-debut, because they're one of the big three. So like aside from them winning it, I think StayC would have won, and that's why I feel like they're like a representative of fourth gen.
I mean, I think to your first point about them growing every comeback is shown by the numbers. They went from like 48 to like 85 to 151. So they're almost like doubling each time they come back. And like I think my concluding point on this chart, or like what I found, is that like I think StayC have what it takes potentially to be in this conversation. But like it's a little too early. I feel like it, to say, like, even looking at like IZ*ONE, like it's gonna take StayC some time to even catch up to, I guess, the legacy that IZ*ONE left behind for 4th gen, right? So that's my piece on it. Like I still would like to talk about StayC in this conversation. But yeah, the data shows that maybe it's a little too soon to put him at like the face of 4th gen, or one of the faces of 4th gen.
Yeah, relax, father time.
Damn, am I the boomer now?
Yeah, boomer.
All right.
Can I actually show my tax forms?
Go ahead. I mean, we can both share at the same time, but I'll stop sharing.
Damn, tax season, huh?
Yeah, tax season.
Yeah. I didn't know you didn't like taxes.
So yeah, like you, I kind of did my research because, like StayC didn't just kind of like pop out of nowhere. I do feel like since it is their first year, we haven't been able to see much of their opinion. I will have to consider though the biggest one that I've been looking at, or like kind of biggest data I've been looking at so far, is their like overall index. And you guys kind of see this in like all Kpop and like Koreaboo, whatever social media platform you use. It's basically, they have 4 categories that tell you about how popular they are on media, how popular they are with the community, and their ability to communicate with the public. And when you sum this up, it is pretty accurate of how popular a certain group is in Korea. So when I looked into it, I looked up 4 months of this past year. And one of the reasons why I didn't include like Giotto and IZ*ONE was because again I'm kind of looking into the future of like in like the next 3 years or so, which might still be the 4th gen. And for a lot of these groups, they've kind of been struggling. Like at the beginning of the year, Giotto had a controversy, IZ*ONE disbanded, and by the middle of the year they're kind of straggling. For Luna's a rare occurrence, I will agree, but they have been kind of struggling to reach into the top 10. So their album numbers are good. They recently tried to go into Japan, but I will argue that it's really their management that has been promoting them rather poorly. And then I compared them to the 3 girl groups that we're talking today. And this is one graph that I kind of did want to talk about a lot is, a group like aespa and Itzy are definitely up there. StayC was kind of like a viral phenomenon. Even I thought that they were going to be a one-hit wonder, but they've been staying up there for the past few months now. So I guess one of the things that I kind of want to point out is this is one of the reasons why I kind of put StayC up on the list. Kind of want to ask you, Dubious, actually, do you think that this kind of an index is an accurate reading of showing like that they could be part of the 4th gen, or do you still think it's not enough?
I hate StayC. I don't think it's enough.
Yeah. So are these kind of like rankings similar to like the article you see on All Kpop where it talks about like the search amounts and stuff for certain people? Is
Yes,
this like
that is right.
those kinds? Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, the more people, this is all like brand exposure, right? The more people look them up, it indicates or it's an indicator of how how much the group is into the public, or how much the group is visible to the public. And sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad. Sorry, not Luna. GRL might be up there because of their controversy, right? That's not good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it makes sense. Like Brave Girls had their kind of resurgence or sometime this year. And I think this is a good indicator. I mean, aespa, I think we're high around the times that they had to come back. I mean, I think around the times, I think where this could be bad is around the times that they have to come back. If they're not in the top, then it's like an indicator that people don't really care about the comebacks. Then other than that, I'm not sure how accurate these charts are, because it could be good or bad. They could be high up because of a bad information, or bad news.
Actually, Dubious, I want to ask you another question on that. So, like I had mentioned before, all 3 groups kind of had like comebacks at the same time. So around May, StayC and Itzy had a comeback. Then a little later, aespa came back with Next Level, which is why they ranked high. And then in September and October, all 3 groups had a comeback. So aespa maintains their level, StayC goes up, but Itzy went down. And I remember in a conversation we had, you said that, like Itzy's songs aren't really that like catchy anymore. It's not that good. Do you kind of feel like Itzy's been underperforming this year, in your opinion? Why you think they might have been underperforming?
So yeah, I mean, like we had a conversation before. Like, I personally am not a big fan of some of the songs that they came out recently. Like, I guess the only 2 that I can really talk about is like Mafia and Loco, right? Like, like Mafia was fine, but I didn't care for Loco at all. Swipe was okay, but I also don't think Swipe would have been like a great main track. But I say all this because I liked like Icy, Wannabe, and like Taradara so much more. I just thought like they were going the right direction, and then they came out with some of the songs this year, and I was like, I'm not sure if I like these songs. But like similar to how you showed in the slide before, like I looked up their album sales and they killed it. Like their most recent album, like, granted, I don't know if it was like a mini album or if it was like a full album, or I don't know why, but like it like it did really well in the charts, or it did really well in sales. They almost hit like 500K sales on that. So surprisingly, like my research tells me they're doing fine. Maybe it just means that they have more devout followers, and maybe they, their song isn't accepted as well by the general audience, but they just, their group of core fans are growing. Which could be the case, and if that is the case, then I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess growing more fans, or your songs being well received by the general audience is good too. But I think we've seen from Twice that like being able to sell like a couple 100K albums every comeback and just being stable is also not a bad thing for a girl group.
BM, would you agree? Do you think they kind of been underperforming, and it's just kind of like the name of JYP that's been holding them?
I think, I don't know, every Itzy comeback I listen to, I think it's like, oh, like it's pretty good. I liked Not Shy. I liked Mafia in the Morning. Loco was probably my least favorite. But I thought like so far like they've been okay. Um, I I do think they're underperforming from expectations. Um, just because they're supposed to be like JYP's. I think they're 3.5 gen. But for the sake of like I guess being consistent, JYP's fourth gen, right? They're supposed to be JYP's fourth gen girl group, but I don't think they're kind of cementing themselves into that role, like Twice kind of did, or like aespa kind of did for SM, or I mean StayC's like High C's first girl group, I think. So like by default, I guess they are. But there's a difference between like aespa and like Itzy. It feels like.
Yeah. I do have to ask then, because aespa's been doing incredibly well. It's only been their first year. And why do you think that aespa's like such a big hit nowadays? Is it just kind of like the SM label? Do you guys think maybe there's the fact that they have a very good center like Karina? Is it like music style? Because they do have a very unique like image they're going off of. They're going off of like an AI kind of gaming. I guess Dubious. You've kind of. I feel like you like aespa a lot, and you've been following them more than some of the other girl groups. So I kind of want to get your perception first.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, when I heard that SM was releasing another girl group, I was like, I looked at them and I followed them for a little bit because I like SM groups in general. But I gotta be honest, like when they first came out with Black Mamba, like I didn't really like care. And I heard Next Level, and I was like, oh wow, like this song's really wacky, and it kind of reminded me a bit of like SM like experimenting in their girl groups, like kind of like how they did with FX and how they kind of did with like Red Velvet. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. And then I started listening to it more. I'm like, wait, this is really good. I really like it. And then they came back with Savage, and I was like, wait, they actually have some formula here that's working. But I remember hearing or seeing an article where, and this was after Next Level as well, where people were saying they were underperforming for an SM group. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, like because I really like Next Level, but then it seemed like there were people out there with the sentiment that aespa wasn't, or that they were like quote unquote flops. So then now like I'm surprised when I hear like people like Savage doing so well, and now people just being like, oh yeah, of course, like SM's like the next like they're carrying out the torch for the next SM like 4th gen group, and I'm like, man, like I thought like a little while back like people were saying they were flops. So I don't know. I mean, I think what helps them definitely is the fact that they are from SM, and it just just that brand, and people know what people know like SM's history, so they if they see a group that came out of SM, like they'll give it a watch. So that they definitely get that benefit as well, which like a group like StayC doesn't have. But then I also think like the two comebacks that they had with like Next Level and Savage just has been really well received by the general audience.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to ask you actually, when did you get into aespa? Was it kind of like between
I will
comebacks?
say like in between Next Level and Savage, because like I think like midway through Next Level promotions or sometime after that, like Winter cut her hair kind of short.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the heck is this? and then I started following Winter, and then I started listening to more, Next Level, because I was like, oh, I want to see like Winter performing. And then I was like, wait, I thought I didn't like the song. This song's a bop. And then that's when I started following them, and then people were like, oh, they're coming back with Savage soon. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely watch that when they come back with that.
BM, what about you? When did you get into aespa?
What a pervert.
What the heck? What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
What the short?
Wait, how old is Winter? What year was she born?
She's 2001.
2001.
Yeah. So she's around 20 years old.
Oh, that's a little close for comfort. We safe.
I got into aespa. I saw their first I saw their debut, Black Mamba. I thought it was pretty decent. So probably a little bit after that, that's when I started getting into them, when I saw them like promoting Black Mamba and then seeing them on shows and stuff.
Oh,
and then,
so even before Next Level, you got into them.
Yeah. Like they had my interest. Like maybe not like all of my interests or like even a lot of it, but like they caught my eye.
Was it like those small like videos that like Winter had out on like YouTube? Were those the ones?
This is a point that I recently felt very vindicated on, but I always like thought Winter was like Taeyeon 2.0, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
she does resemble
only
her.
recently I've seen people like, I've only seen people like recently start to like say that, and I'm like, dude, I said that like a while ago, and then like, yeah.
Dude, you sound like that guy on the YouTube video who's like first comment.
No, it's just no. All right.
You're that guy.
No. Okay. It's just a point that I made that like no one agreed on until like way later, and then I'm like, what am I supposed to think?
Can we give a round of applause? Can we give a round of applause to BM?
Add the applause edit. Add that
We got Nostradamus here, dude.
Thank you.
I'll add a bunch
of claps. Was Winter kind of like your first bias, and she's the one that kind of got you into aespa? Because it was really Karina that was pushed out front and center by SM, I feel like.
Yeah, I felt like Winter was the one that caught my eye first, because
like the initial bias.
Yeah, I like vocals. I like vocalists, and Winter's a vocalist. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Haewon the vocalist.
But like even then, like Twice, I like Nayeon, and like Blackpink, I like Rose, right? So like I like vocalists. Aside from Haewon, and that's why Winter caught my eye, as well as like I like how she looked, you know, because I liked Haeyeon in Soyeonshide.
That's right.
Or Girls' Generation, so it was kind of like naturally fitting.
You know what happened with BM though is that SM turned Karina loose. They turned Karina loose, and BM was like, "What's going on here? What's happening?" And then now he's like, he's like pretending like he doesn't have two lovers, but he does actually have two lovers.
All right, BM, what's going on?
Bias.
So BM, say it once and for all here. Who is it? Who is your bias?
Oh no.
aespa?
Oh no.
Yeah. Say it right now, and you'll always have to remember that you put this out to the public. Who is your bias?
I decline.
This guy's a cheat.
I decline.
This guy talked about Winter Art, and then yet he's hiding Karina in the back.
No, it's not like that.
This guy's a cheater.
It's not.
And then he's gonna talk about StayC later, about how he loves them and stuff.
Oh yeah,
heck cheater.
Yeah.
right, BM. Let's talk about StayC right now then.
I love StayC.
They're not from big companies, all right. It's not like they had a huge marketing style, but they're up there, like as these graphs show, bro. Like, why do you think so, man? Why do you think a lot of people like them?
StayC has great songs. So bad.
That I could agree with.
Great.
Yeah. ASAP.
aespa. Great.
Great. Yes.
Stereotype. Fantastic.
ASAP.
Oh, StayC is so good. StayC is so good. I love StayC.
To
They're
the
so
audience,
talented.
listen to their
I think they
B-sides.
deserve everything.
Those songs are great as well.
I love StayC. Oh, I love StayC.
I'm gonna barf. I'm gonna barf.
Look at this boomer. Look at this old man.
No, you know why I'm gonna barf? It's not because of StayC. I think StayC
You're
are good.
medicine, old man.
No, I think StayC is fine. But you know what the issue is? And calm down. Don't stand up from your seat, okay? StayC is just your rebound.
Oh.
StayC's your rebound.
Oh.
After Izone left, StayC's your rebound.
Oh.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Oh.
But don't pretend like they're the love of your life.
Oh.
BM, your response.
Should we end the episode? Should we end the episode here?
I don't think StayC's a rebound.
Dude, when Hive comes up with a new girl group and they come out with Chaewon, who was your bias back in the day, and you jump ship, you'll look back at this episode and know that I predicted it. You better live with that.
No, I don't think I'm gonna jump ship. I think I'm gonna just like both of them. StayC's good. I really like StayC because of their songs. Their songs are so good.
Yeah, whatever.
Damn.
Who's the girl you like?
And no one can tell me ASAP's an okay song, but no one can tell me that their aerobic like 1970 aerobic dance is cool. That little punching the air thing. Everyone's just like, this is the coolest thing. I'm just like, this is.
Oh no! I don't really care about the dance. I like the song a lot. Or ASAP's my least favorite out of the title tracks. For me, it goes Stereotype, So Bad, and then ASAP. But yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I think Stereotype's best song.
No, I just asked. Like, who was the kind of girl that got you into StayC?
Oh, so initially, Yoon was the one that caught my eye.
Yeah.
But I didn't really get into StayC until Stereotype. I did see their debut, So Bad, but that was around the time that Twice came out with I Can't Stop Me. So I think that was like what was grabbing my attention. But I did remember liking So Bad because I kind of like the retro style songs. But when they came out with Stereotype and I saw Aiza in the last chorus scene,
Oh, I see.
Oh, she was so beautiful. Wow.
Took your eye.
Yeah, that's when she caught my eye.
Hey, can I say something?
Go ahead.
No.
Can I say something?
No.
I asked, can I say something, but I'm gonna say it regardless. Insider, do you know? So BM was like, "Oh, dude, you gotta listen to this song. Like, this is StayC. They're great."
No, you can't.
No, I'm gonna say it.
Wait, no.
No,
Wait, you can't say this. You can't say this.
Shut up! I'm gonna say it.
No, you can't say this.
I'm gonna say it.
You can't. No, you can't say this. No, please, you can't say this. This is the one thing you can't say. This is the one thing you can't say.
Oh man.
I'm gonna narrate over.
No.
The public has to know.
No.
You're fake. This is a rebound situation.
No. All
right, you can move on.
I'm done.
Nothing to say, BM. Nothing.
No.
Oh, dude, I prepared so well.
Okay.
I prepared so well for this.
Well, we're still staying on topic of StayC because one thing I do kind of want to point out is this past summer I feel like was kind of one of the big turning points for all these three groups. Again, ASAP made StayC known, next level, skyrocketed ae-aespa, and then Itzy kind of had to compete with that. And I kind of thought that maybe this is one of the reasons why Itzy had a kind of a hard time going up on the rankings is because they had two other strong competitors in the list. Do you guys kind of feel like this may have been one of the factors that kind of caused Itzy to fall behind compared to like aespa and StayC? Or do you just think that there may have been like other factors involved? Dubious, I'll ask you first because I know you didn't really like these songs.
So your question was, do I think that they kind of fell behind because of aespa and StayC?
Yeah, like they were kind of overshadowed by these like fresh new groups in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. Wow, they came back on the same day,
They
Mafia and
like
ASAP,
like the same month because
or
April
close to each other.
2021. Yeah, pretty much.
Also, I love how you spelled out the word April for Itzy, but just put APR for StayC.
I
That's
totally
great.
missed that.
Yeah, really, just biased here. Yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, so I think it's interesting. Like, for me, I mean, the only way that these girls like really compete with each other is if like one, let's say they have like a divided fan, or like they share a similar fan base, and so like let's say like when people are buying albums, they decide to buy, hey, like StayC's versus Itzy's, right, or something like that. Or if they're sharing like or they're competing on music shows, right, and like their songs go up against each other. But I don't know, like no one's gonna persuade me that like Itzy got less, like let's just say like less YouTube views because like StayC's ASAP was doing better.
Yeah,
like are people really like gonna choose one or the other and like not watch the other? Like I think they might have gotten overshadowed, but I don't think the success of the song or the comeback is dictated by how well the other groups are doing around them. Like when it comes to like album sales or like YouTube views or things like that.
Yeah. BM, I gotta ask you actually. Throughout this past year, I know you've kind of been following all three groups. Who was the one group, BM, that you followed the most compared to the other two, if you had to pick?
I'll probably say aespa
Mm-hmm.
if it's on this timeline. I think honestly what's contributing to like Itzy's what it seems like a decline in popularity is I feel like they're kind of too formulaic at this point.
Hmm.
I wanna
As
I don't
in,
wanna like I don't wanna speak for like the general public or whatever, but I feel like mm, Mafia in the Morning, Loco, like they're becoming like too re repetitive, similar,
mhm,
you know? Or
kind of
they
the feeling of the
like
song.
yeah, um it's like a generic like Itzy song.
Yeah.
It becomes it to me at least, it feels like they kind of all blend together at some point. Whereas if you look at StayC, So Bad, completely different from ASAP,
Mhm.
and also different from Stereotype, you know?
Right.
Very, very different. There's kind of like an evolution of like genres. Look at aespa, Black Mamba, completely different from Next Level, and even Forever in Between if you count that. And then to Savage, they're all completely different, you know? They all go in a different direction as opposed to like Itzy, they only slightly like kind of curve in a different direction.
Mhm. I guess on the top,
BM, I
yeah.
asked you this question before, but I want you to repeat it for, I guess, Insider and the viewers as well. I had asked you, so then like with like Blackpink, right? Like why do you think their formula works, even though most of their comebacks you could probably say are like just one generic girl
Mm,
crush, right? Could you explain why you think their situation is different from Itzy's?
I think even in Itzy's discography, like their B-sides, they're all like the same type of music.
mhm.
Kind of like Itzy, Teen Pop, um, Teen Crush, Girl Crush. But like I feel like Blackpink, they when you like get to the B-sides and stuff, it becomes different. There's different like genres and different there's an exploration of like different music styles. Like um there's ballads, um there's different acoustic versions, there's like a different variety in their music, and it really kind of, I feel like, molds them as an artist. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, it's these, at least at this point, it kind of feels like a one trick pony type of situation where they kind of only have like one gimmick, and they like just stick to it.
Yeah, my hopes for Itzy is that like, because we've seen with Twice, and I bring up Twice because they're in the same company, but like, there was a period of what, like 2.5, 3 years where they were mainly doing like cheer up, likey, like that kind of like cutesy songs, and I think their B-sides were a little more varied than what maybe Itzy. I actually don't listen to Itzy's all of their B-sides, so I don't know I don't know what it sounds like, but my hopes is that like maybe what happened with Twice will kind of happen with Itzy, that like over time their songs will evolve as well, like as they mature. But I guess I do also kind of agree with the sentiment that BM had, where things kind of seem a little stale. It kind of seems a little similar, and maybe that's because other groups like StayC and aespa are coming. Each comeback feels different and unique, and maybe that's the way that K-pop listeners are kind of trending, and maybe that's somewhere maybe Itzy has to evolve and adapt to. And maybe you can't. It's not like the past or the third gen where you could spend years and years like evolving into something different. Maybe each comeback you have to show a different side of yourself or different like talents and things like that.
It kind of feels like they're like getting stale in concept.
Hmm.
Yeah, they kind of only have one concept. Um, yeah, I don't know.
BM, do you think maybe anything about like individual members have to do with it?
Ooh.
Um, can you like clarify?
Yeah. So, for example, like one of the reasons why I think aespa does so well, right, is that they have very popular individual members.
Mm-hmm.
They have Karina and they have like people like Winter. And for Itzy, kind of the big one was Ryujin, because she had come out in a previous survival show. And there's like visuals like Yuna. And do you think that they kind of haven't been able to have that individual popularity as much as like Karina and Winter? Or do you just think that maybe like the Korean public isn't as interested in them compared to like Karina and Winter? Or
I have a follow up to this too after BM answers.
yeah.
I think Ryujin just isn't as
Ooh.
popular as
hmm
people expected her to be. Neither do I think, nor do I think she has like the personality either. I think she's pretty introverted,
hmm
and she kind of like it kind of shows. Or as opposed to like Yuna, who I feel like is a better like person for like variety or like you know um on camera. I so I do think that like maybe Itzy does underperform there. But I don't think that should like be, be an excuse, because like look at StayC. Um like I feel like StayC doesn't like StayC's individual members don't really stand out, but as a group they're
That's true.
really good. So like if like that shouldn't be an excuse.
Hmm.
If like member popularity,
That is actually our next topic. Yeah.
um if like people were to attribute like member popularity to like decline.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of in line with what we talked about last episode, which was the center, right?
Right.
BM, do you think a better center would be Yuna over Ryujin?
Hmm.
That would change up the group's image if you also think
It
that.
would. It would. That's why I'm asking this question, because like I feel like the way that we're or the sentiment that BM's kind of showing, it seems that maybe that image of Ryujin as a center isn't what's working for you. You know, I won't say for the general audience, but like for you.
Right.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, for you.
Yeah, I think so.
Hurts my heart.
I
No,
honestly
because all of us here really like Ryujin, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, that's
no.
true. I think honestly, I'd put Ryujin as leader.
You put Ryujin as the leader?
Oh, over Yeji.
Wait, what do you have against Yeji?
I don't. Ryujin as leader, Yuna as center, and Yeji as like just lead dancer.
Damn.
Do you think that Yeji's not really a strong leader in the case?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's just personally. Like I feel like Ryujin embodies like the leader image better.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
I think it's just bias.
Wait, but Insider, that's a funny question though. Like, do you think Yeji asking like who's a good leader is kind of weird because it's like, what are you supposed to show? Are you supposed to yell like fighting like every every second or something? Like, how are we supposed to know who's a good leader and who's not?
There was a video once where the 5 girls were together and Yeji was like, "Oh, I'm not that great of a leader," and then Ryujin said, "Yeah, we know that," and that's actually why I thought
that
of
has
that.
to be joking. That can't
It
be
was like half joking, I'm sure, but no, it just
half
kind of
joking.
I think kind of the joke behind that was like Yeji's not like a very I don't know. Whenever I kind of think of a leader, it does have to be someone that is very like outspoken and things like that. And I do think Ryujin is the most outspoken in the group. And I feel like as leader, she would have done actually a very good job as well.
Dang, you and BM are in this together. You're trying to lead a coup against Yeji. Dang, you guys are a bunch of betrayers.
Wait, Dubious. What about you? Do you think if Yuna was kind of like the center, that would change up a lot of things?
So, I mean, I like Ryujin a lot, but that's just my personal like preference. The reason why I like her as a center is because like I can't say whether things work or not, right? Like I don't know if she's the reason why things look stale. I don't think that's the reason why. I just like the fact that she's such a different like girl compared to most other K-pop girls, and the fact that like she's quote unquote the center. I feel like JYP could make it work. Like this isn't. I don't think it's a situation where you have a girl who's like just can't speak, you know, or like doesn't know Korean. Like maybe she might not be what people typically think of when they think of like, oh, a K-pop girl group center, but I think they can make it work. I think it could be special, like that's why I wouldn't want them to change to Yuna, even though Yuna is a better kind of archetype for a center. Just because then it won't be Itzy anymore. It'll just be another girl group. Whoa, that sounds really bad because now I feel like I'm saying like Yuna's just like another girl group.
All right, girl comments, get on.
But Ryujin's different. That's the thing,
No, she is.
Yeah. You guys are all gonna say like I hate Yuna now. No, I really like Yuna, but like I think they have more to gain by keeping Ryujin at center. I do. I think she's just so different than like most other K-pop girls.
You also think it might be a little weird if they just kind of suddenly switch the center to Yuna? Because
No, I don't think it'll be weird. I mean, because we talked about it last episode where the center could change over time in some groups, right? Like I don't know if Chue was a center of Momoland at like in the beginning, right? But she definitely, you could probably say that she was like center. Oh, it could have been considered center like around the time that she started popping off, So like I think what would be more kind of jarring is like if they switch up their music to fit like the image of Yuna, I think that could be where the jarring part comes in, not like the fact that they switch the center role to be more Yuna focused and Ryujin focused.
So switch kind of like the positions in the group as well as the concept styling. So basically change up a lot of things about the group.
I think they would have to, unless Yuna suddenly starts adopting more like mature and kind of chic image that Ryujin gives off.
BM, I kind of wanted to point out one thing on this list, and you had mentioned it earlier, and that is that StayC members are nowhere to be seen in the top 20 in these past 4 months. I dug a little more into it in the month that they were most popular, which was around June, because that was just a few weeks after ASAP. The highest member was, I think, Yoon or Jay, and they were like 26th. So they've definitely been struggling to have like individual popularity. Does that worry you by any chance that like maybe this may be an indicator that it might not be able to carry this kind of popularity, or not that worried?
I think any expert will tell you that based on analysis, too many people in this world are haters. Um, I think it's just telling if like StayC's just getting better and better in album sales, like, and none of the girls are on this list, you know.
Mhm.
It means their music is actually like good.
That yeah.
Like people actually like them for their music. So I'm sure like with that, like, and with time, people will begin to recognize these girls more and more, you know. Like I think I think a lot of these, I think StayC's a gem, you know. I think Yoon's very I think Yoon could be very popular. I think she's getting there. Um, I like Jay. Jay is very. I think Jay could be very star potential too. Um, my favorite is Aiza.
Nice.
I think I like Sumin a lot too. Sumin's leader.
You like everyone except for one.
Two. Two.
Two.
Two. I'm not very fond of
Oh.
Seven and
Oh, you're
Shin.
gonna say it out here? Okay, say it.
I said it. I just said it.
Okay, say it. Say it one more time. Sorry, I like.
Seven
yeah.
and Shin. I mean, they're
Dang.
okay.
Look
They're
at this
just.
guy.
I'm just more fond of the other girls. Like I don't know. Like I think Jay's very cute. I like her deep voice. I think it's charming.
Yeah.
Variety, she's very shy. I like that like duality. Or that juxtaposition. Yoon is very like awkward and like quirky. She's very like maknae, very young, childish. And it's like really funny like because it contrasts like her being the tallest in the group by like a big margin. Or actually no, she's very close in height with Jay too, which is really funny because they're magnas in the group. And then like oh, Aisa's so pretty. Like I like her like really cat-like features. She's very like sweet. She's very very like very cutesy. Oh, I love Isa. Sumin
Alright.
actually reminds me of Wiz. I'm just trying this on.
Yeah, I'm barfing a little bit inside.
Dubious, any response?
No, I was just gonna say like, okay, well, we have two cat girls, right? We have Karina and Isa, so just pick one. Who do you like more? Do you not like my questions today? Why can't you answer them?
I just don't understand what you're saying because you're a hater, dude. I don't speak hater.
Yeah.
All right, Insider, kick us off on the next topic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, I want to ask Dubious because he had mentioned at the beginning he thought that StayC didn't really fit in as like a representative fourth gen girl group, and I think one of the reasons.
Whoa! I said they have potential. They
They have potential, but right
yeah, they
now
have
it's kind of
potential.
early to tell. Do you
Exactly.
think, in terms of that conversation, do you think, their individual popularity or the lack of individual popularity maybe one big indicator as to why you think that, or because album sales are good?
So and you know what? At the end of the day, I think. I think what Twice showed throughout their career and I even the charts that we see now, like their names are up here, but I want to say that like even when they were like they're like second and third year in, they really stuck together as a group, right? And they weren't a group that did like units or like one person did like acting things. Like they all kind of just did Twice together, right? And I think because of that, like they all share one Instagram account, and I think that was very deliberate by JYP to do that. But it also kind of hindered them from growing their own like individual brand, right? So like Nayeon was never like as widely known or popular, always in the news, the same way like Jennie was, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors about that, but like I think that's a structure of how YG kind of formed their group and how JYP formed Twice, right? But like we can look back and see Twice, and they're the best. They're still, for now, the best selling girl group of all time. And so like it might be kind of more difficult for the girls once they leave Twice to maybe create a career for their own, because they were so Twice focused and less individual focused. But if we're just looking at in this, how well was StayC do, I'm not worried about them not being in these charts, to be honest. Like individual like search algorithm charts, like they could still really do well as a group without entering any of these charts. And if the company's okay with that and the girls are okay with that, it's not an issue. I would be worried if the girls want to do something different, like after StayC, but yet they're still chained down to this kind of like one homogenous like entity that they have to, you know, stay part of, because that's the only thing that a company is willing to allow them to do.
I see. I think you definitely weren't as intrigued, shall I say, to StayC as much as BM is right now. Is there kind of like a reason as to why you didn't really follow StayC?
You know, I think first of all, I didn't fall in love with their songs the same way BM fell in love with their songs, and the same way that I fell in love with like aespa songs. I will say Stereotype's a good song. I really do. I think it's probably like top 5, top 6 like K-pop girl group songs of this year for me. It's just like I watched like a couple variety things that they came out in. I didn't think like any of them like really stood out a lot. I think Yoon has potential. I like Jay. And when I say I like it, you know, it's not like I like follow her or anything. It's just like when I looked at her, I was like, oh, I think like she has charm. You know, like BM mentioned, she has a deep voice, which is kind of like contrasting to how she kind of looks and kind of like acts. So I thought that was really charming. But like if you're like, it'd be very hard for me to be like, oh yeah, like I see the next Jennie here, you know, like I see the next like IU or like a Yuna, you know, like it's hard for me to pick one out. Maybe Yoon could do it because I think she has the visuals and she's still really young, right? So we never know what she could grow into. But yeah, like from the get-go, I'm not feeling like any of them are gonna be like mega stars, but I could always be wrong.
Good.
Then I guess, yeah, go ahead, BM.
Wow. Oh, he's getting spicy with me now. I asked him too many questions he couldn't answer.
Damn.
Go ahead, BM. What you got?
No, he's got nothing.
I'll ask you first, Dubious, actually, to kind of end off today's discussion. What concepts, you know, if you were kind of like in JYP or in StayC's company, what concepts do you think they would have to do to kind of get back up to kind of like compete with aespa? I will kind of start off with Itzy first, since you've known them for a while.
Look, like I am in no form like a music director or anything like that, so everything I say just take with a grain of salt and just toss it out, right? But I liked a lot of what Itzy were doing originally with like IC, with Haradara. And like if they were to release a song similar to that, maybe I might feel like, oh, it's a little boring. So maybe they would have to switch something up. But like if they were to release another song that was just a bop, like I wouldn't, you know, like I think that's just like the next thing to get them like back on the or you know, bring them back to my attention a bit more, because like we can see from the album stills they're doing fine, right? So this might be just more of a microcosm issue that like we're experiencing, the three of us, and maybe not something that other people are experiencing. Maybe people love Loco. I just didn't think it was a good song, and I feel like from the forums I've seen, like people weren't too thrilled about it. But I mean, they're selling albums like hotcakes, so like, you know, for me, I think it's just either go to their roots and try something that they did in the beginning, or switch it up a little bit, and not come out with a song where the dancing is almost like a priority over like the actual song itself, because like no one, I don't think anyone can doubt that their songs are performances. They are actually performances, right?
That's true. That's true.
But
They're
maybe
very dance based. Yeah.
just create a good song. You know, maybe just have a song where you could sing it a little more comfortably, and you don't have to like be flying across the stage, you know, and breaking ankles and stuff. So I guess that's my suggestion to Itzy as a straight up nobody. Did you want me to answer Stacey as well?
Yeah, let me go on to BM first. Actually, regarding Itzy,
Okay.
BM, do you think
Yeah.
you kind of agree with Dubious's point that they should really switch up concepts in that
Yeah.
case, or do you think the girls are kind of doing fine?
No, I think they've become like too formulaic. Ever
Yeah.
since Not Shy, cause like Dala Dala like was pretty fresh, right? And then Icy like different, like pretty different, but still like Itzy. And then like Wannabe was like um Wannabe I feel like is when it starts to get kind of like generic Itzy. Cause I liked Wannabe, and then it was good, and then I liked Not Shy. I actually like Not Shy a lot. I think it's like my favorite Itzy comeback. But then like I think that's when it starts to get like formulaic and
Moth
like
BM
everything
logo.
since then is kind of like
Yeah.
like generic Itzy. Um and I feel like they just need something different. Um aespa is so different from Black Mamba to I'm gonna count forever to
Mhm.
next level and then Savage. They're all so like different, unique, strikingly memorable. But like I don't know. It's just like seems like Itzy's discography starts to like get kind of like um
Stale.
stirred in the pot, you know.
Yeah.
It kind of just blends together at some point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um I think StayC has done a decent enough job of like being different enough to be memorable too. So bad, different concept from ASAP to stereotype, you know. I think it's different enough for me, whereas I can remember them, and
Mhm.
hopefully it like stay that way. But I think
Yeah.
that's where like Itzy falls short.
I see. For StayC, we'll go back to you, Dubious. I don't think it's really song styles that you would recommend changing. It's probably has to do more maybe of the marketing or like of the girls or the genre. Like, what do you think?
That's actually a little creepy because you actually like straight up read my mind. Like I have no problem with their songs. Like I think like what the producers are doing is great, and I think they're on a really good track, and I have nothing to touch on that side. I think where they could, kind of going back to your question of like how they could maybe possibly compete with aespa, which they potentially could. I think what they could tap into is are things that maybe aespa can't do, like by the virtue of being an SM group. Like I think the thing with some bigger companies is that like they try to maintain a certain like level of like marketing and like prestige with like some of the things that they do with the girl groups that um, other girl groups from lower companies kind of have more freedom to do. So something tangible, the tangible example could be doing more V lives or doing more like fan base interaction, doing more like uh, blogs and stuff that maybe SM groups just don't have time to do. And I think that's something that I think Twice did well when they were coming up, and I think like if BTS showed anything, they show that a group from a smaller company or a lesser known company could compete with the mega companies, and so I don't think it's impossible for them to do it. I just think they have to kind of grow in areas that uh, that SM aren't giving aespa the freedom to do.
I see. BM, what about you? What do you
And
think?
uh yes, I think it's definitely possible. I think like even though Stacy's from a kind of like a no-name label high up, they're still backed by Kakao.
Mhm.
entertainment. So I mean, it's definitely possible. It's not like they're gonna like be short of funds, like Luna.
Dang.
Sorry.
Did you have to do a jab?
Damn.
Catching strays. Why are you saying damn? They should be saying damn.
Damn. But yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Itzy has to change something, or else they're just gonna decline.
Decline. Yeah.
The only thing sadder than that was just your voice. Your voice just sounded so sad right there.
I mean, I like Itzy.
No, I know. We all do. We all do.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently you guys hate Yeji to death, but you know that's a different topic.
Well, you hate StayC.
No, how dare you? I haven't said anything that would indicate so. I was just talking about facts
StayC.
here. No,
Yeah, you're talking about the fact that you hate StayC.
no, they're just your rebounds. That's all. That's all I was pointing to. Insider, was this like the last question?
Yeah. This was the last question.
I kind of had like a question for you guys, maybe on a slightly lighter
throw it
note.
out. Mhm.
But how do you guys feel about like the whole like I kind of stuff that aespa is doing?
Oh.
They're like 3D generated like kind of
Yeah.
counterparts.
Yes. So I honestly don't even see a lot of that besides maybe in their music videos, which
That's
was
fair.
kind of interesting because like before their debut, I thought this was going to be like their main concept. But I feel like the snake is taking a bigger role than their AIs. So it hasn't
The
been.
snake has a bigger part in the story. Yeah.
Yeah, like legit. It's like when they went on like Knowing Brothers, they barely even mentioned about the AIs. The snake had a bigger role. Um, I don't think I'd really be that big of a fan with the AI, and I think SM kind of knows that. So they kind of been putting that in like background.
Oh, with like the Navi's lore and like the eyes
Yeah.
or the
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they did that whole like kind of like mafia game where they try to find out like where the snake was. Yeah, like those kind of things. Like I'm okay with that. And I'm kind of appreciating that SM's not focusing too much on like the AI aspects. They only say that for like the music video, which I think kind of works. So I think that's kind of like my view. I don't know, BM. What about you?
I don't think it bothers me too much. Um, it's just I feel like it's just kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they're trying to do with it. I know like people follow like the SM verse and stuff, but I don't know. As like a I don't want to say a casual consumer, but like as someone that not into like the SM lore and stuff, it's just kind of there.
Yeah. I just
And
don't think it's necessary. Or sorry, were you done, BM?
and then I was gonna say, and that's it. Like it's just there.
Yeah, it's just like for me, how when you said like, oh, it's just there and I don't really understand it. I feel like it's the same with the girls. Like I feel like every time they mention it, it's just like, oh, it feels like when a dad does the school project for the kid, and then they're like, oh yeah, like
They
this
have
is
to show
the
it.
volcano exhibit.
Yeah.
Like you put Alka-Seltzer in, and it's just like, I don't know. Every time they talk about it, I'm just like, do they actually believe? Like, do they care about this? Like I just feel like it's like aespa, and then like all of a sudden the music video, these girls show up, and then it's like, wait, why were they important again? Oh right, there's like a whole story behind like them being disconnected or something. There's like an enemy, and then there's like freaking like physics wars like sync dive and like all these jargon that like we don't understand, but it's in the song. And we're like, oh, they're cool words, yeah, they're cool. But then it's like, what does it all mean? Does it even matter? And
I
and, and so like Huangjia, like I don't get it.
I actually
Like
remember like seeing a Reddit post where someone like wrote all the definitions of all
yeah,
the aespa terms, and I was
yeah.
like,
You sent it to me.
oh, this makes sense now.
No, I read that. I was like, oh, this still doesn't make sense. And I was like, I think they could do without it, but now it's just they're in too deep, right?
Like, they have to commit.
They have to commit. Like they can't just like be like, oh, this next song, like we saved them and they're gone. Like by like Karina, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I was saying this to Insider once, but I think in the future, like maybe like the 5th gen or 6th gen, we could maybe see like a group where maybe even some of the promotions are done by like 3D like counterparts. We've seen with like KDA that something similar could work, right? But then different with KDA is that like the 3D generated models are like actually like the characters in the game, so they're not like the Soyeon or like Mion from G-Idol, right? So they're different entities. Whereas here it's like we're like, oh, this is like the alternate version of Korean, the alternate version of Winter. So it's like, I don't know, it feels experimental, like every SM group it seems like, and maybe I'm just not used to it. And maybe like in 10 years or 5 years, like this will just be the accepted norm, and maybe they are the trailblazers for it. But right now it's just like I'm just watching Winter and Karina and like Giselle and Ningning, and then suddenly like I see 3D generated people. I'm like, oh right, oh I forgot about them. Go Stink Dive, like okay. That's my rant.
DM, you got it?
Oh really?
Well, we will definitely be talking more about the concepts and stylings of these groups. So if you guys want to listen to that, please stick around for next week's episode. We'll be continuing our discussion on these 4th generation girl groups. Again, on the topics of styling, we'll be talking about some of the individual members, concepts that we wish to see from these girls, whether it's from variety, music style, or just from vlogs. And of course, if you'd like us to discuss any other topics, please do leave your comments and opinions down below. And of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to keep up with our latest podcasts. So until then, we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
I like StayC, by the way.
You're a hater.
No, I like StayC.